Hi guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri. And I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I'm a little under the weather, which is why I guess the excitement you might find is a little bit dampened in my voice. But trust me, I am so hyped up for this game. Manchester City versus Liverpool, the two best teams in the country, going at it for the first time this season at the Etihad. I mean, what more do I need to say? Really, I mean, Pep Guardiola against Jurgen Klopp, Jordan Henderson against Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling against Mo Salah, Raheem Sterling against Joe Gomez, given what happened between them. I mean, it's a match of storylines now. It's a rivalry that's developing. Obviously, it's never going to be on the same level as Man United for us. It's never going to be on the same level as Everton for us. But it is a competitive rivalry that's developing. You know, not unlike what we had with Chelsea in the mid 2000s, really. But yeah, except this is a little more hyped up because, you know, these are two sides which are going for every single title that is available to them. So yeah, I'm excited. And, you know, this is raw reactions for Manchester City versus Liverpool. If you guys are unfamiliar with raw reactions, it's basically an episode of the podcast where I compile my reactions as and when they happen during pregame, at halftime, and at fulltime. And I talk about the game. I talk about what went wrong, what went right, and so on and so forth. And if you want to get an idea of how raw reactions work, do listen to some of my previous ones. Some of my best work includes the game against Aston Villa where we lost 7-2. The last one where we beat Atalanta 5-0. So these are some of my best works. Do go listen to them. But yeah, we're about 35 minutes away from kickoff and the lineups are out, and we're going to be reacting to them. As usual, we're going to start with the opposition. Manchester City, the home team in this game. They're going to start with Ederson in goal. No surprises there. Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte, and Joao Cancelo. So I expected Nathan Ake to start because I thought he'd be more defensive. He's left-footed, can handle Mo Salah a little bit better, I guess. But that being said, you know, Joao Cancelo is attacking. City are playing at home. Might as well go for it against a Liverpool team that might as well just go for it. You know, might as well just go for the kill. So Joao Cancelo is going to be playing there, of course, at left back. Not his natural position. Obviously, their usual left back, Benjamin Mendy, is injured. Surprise, surprise. And then, of course, you've also got Zinchenko, who just isn't quite cut out for this sort of a matchup. You've also got, and he played the full 90 minutes in the Champions League as well. The other thing is, the other option is obviously Joao Cancelo and Nathan Ake. Those are the other options. Ake, I thought, would start. Like I said, he's left-footed, but he is a centre-back by trade. He's not really a left-back, even though he has played there. So, you know, maybe that's why Guardiola trusts Joao Cancelo to do the job, because he is a wing-back, at least, if not a natural left-back. And he has played there for a fair few games, so he should know what he's doing. In midfield, we've got Rodri playing as the number 6. No surprises there again. Ilkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne. Gundogan's going to be the box-to-box midfielder amongst the two of them. Kevin De Bruyne is going to be the primary source of creation for them, primary source of assists. And, locking him down is going to be key. And how our midfield copes up against City's 3 is going to probably determine the winner in this outcome as well. Up front, big change on the right wing. Riyad Mahrez is not in the lineup. Riyad Mahrez does not even make the bench. I don't know if that's an injury concern or something, but Riyad Mahrez does not even make the bench. Instead, it is Ferran Torres who gets a start. In my match preview that I did with Rahul, I wondered if Ferran Torres would be thrown straight into such a big game, but Guardiola has obviously seen enough from the youngster. He's given him enough confidence to throw him straight, and given the fact that Mahrez is not even on the bench, I think it leads me to say that it's kind of an injury issue. On the left, we have Raheem Sterling. No surprises there. Again, a good source of goals. I mean, we all know what Raheem Sterling is all about. So he's also there in the lineup on the left wing for Manchester City. And up front, Gabriel Jesus makes a return to the starting 11. So Gabriel Jesus is fit again. Aguero, unfortunately, is not fit enough to start the game or make the bench. But Gabriel Jesus is available for this game, and he will be taking the striker role there. I was going to say number 9 because of his jersey number, but he's going to be playing the striker role. On the bench, they have Alexander Zinchenko, Eric Garcia, John Stones, Philip Foden, Zach Steffen, Bernardo Silva, Nathan Ake. I'm a little bit surprised that Phil Foden is not starting this game because I feel like this is a game. Of course, he's made a lot of impact as a late sub as well. That's not to discount anything away from him. But I do feel like this is the kind of game where, Gundogan is all well and good, but I feel like Phil Foden would have given them that little extra something in the final third, especially. But again, I think it's all about compromise between attack and defense. Gundogan gives you a little bit of a balance compared to Foden, so maybe because of that as well. Diaz and Laporte, I'm very interested to see how that backline matches up against our forward line because that's the backline that City are hoping to keep and are hoping will come good over the next few years. Hopefully, that should be the backline for them for the next few years. If things go well. But this is their first big test. They're going to go up against a Liverpool front line that is lethal. That scored 5 against Atalanta in the Champions League game midweek. So they're up against it. They're definitely up against it. Kyle Walker, according to Rahul, has been their best player this season. So he's going to have his hands full with Sadio Mane, of course. And I'll get to the Liverpool lineups. And I know I'm just saying the front three, but I think it's kind of a given that we know that the front three is going to start. But yeah, I mean, that's about the Manchester City lineup. Let's get to the Liverpool lineup now. On the formation sheet, it's a weird formation that they've put up. They say we're going to line up in a 4-2-2-2, which I don't think is the case. We've never done that before. I don't think that's ever going to be the case as well. I'll go through the lineup, and I think the formation is going to be a 4-2-3-1, and it'll become pretty evident why I say that as I go through the lineup. But Alisson starts in goal, no surprises there. Joel Matip makes a return to the back line, so he's going to be partnering Joe Gomez. Big comeback for him. Big game to come back into for him. Obviously, just before the international break as well. He's not had any games before this. Rhys Williams and Nat Phillips have played the previous 2 games. So Joel Matip coming in big. He needs to step up today. That City front line is no joke, and they're going to give him some trouble. So Joel Matip partners Joe Gomez with Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right, Andy Robertson on the left. We've got Gini Wijnaldum and Jordan Henderson as the midfield double pivot. So technically, we are a little outnumbered, I would say, in midfield. If you're just looking at midfield versus midfield, obviously football is not as straightforward as that. But we do need to be careful, and how Wijnaldum and Henderson handle Kevin De Bruyne is going to be very, very key to this whole thing. We're missing Fabinho, we're missing Virgil, so these guys are going to be like Gomez, Matip, Henderson, Wijnaldum. They're going to need to be at the top of their game in order to stop Kevin De Bruyne. Not that the others aren't a threat, not that Gundogan's not a threat or Rodri cannot do something on his own, but Kevin De Bruyne is obviously the most versatile offensive weapon City have, and he needs to be stopped. Again, Alexander-Arnold's going up against Sterling. That should be a very interesting battle to watch. Andy Robertson on the other side against Ferran Torres. Now that's a battle I would favor Andy Robertson with, because he has the experience. Now Ferran is young, he's talented, but he doesn't have the experience that Andy Robertson has. So I would favor Andy in that. And then, of course, we've got 4 forwards playing. So we've got Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Diogo Jota, and Roberto Firmino all starting this game. There were very, very, there were very many questions about whether or not Jota will start this game. I argued that purely based on form, he should. The question mark for me was whether Firmino was going to start, because for me, Firmino brought pressing, brought intensity, but right now he's not on form. So if Klopp was going to stick to a 4-3-3, then I would have assumed Firmino would be dropped, or I would have said Firmino should be dropped. But Klopp's gone with a 4-2-3-1. Firmino is going to be playing that deep sort of role behind the striker, and he's going to come in deep. He naturally does that anyway. He's going to come in deep. He's going to have to pressurize Rodri a lot. He's going to have to, indulge in some midfield battling a lot. Which obviously Firmino is up for that, but how effective he will be against a team like City is still, we need to see. But this game will answer that question. Diogo Jota, Sadio Mane, and Mo Salah, very versatile front line. We've seen this in the game against Atalanta. They switch positions constantly. Their movement is going to give the City defense all sorts of trouble. And honestly, I am very excited for this formation to work, because Firmino sitting in that hole can spray out passes to all 3 of them, who can make runs behind a City defense that does tend to play a high line. It's not like they don't play a high line. So, we can just make runs across. Jota is especially good at those. Jota and Robertson seem to have an understanding that, it seems telepathic at this point. It seems very similar to the understanding that Mane and Robertson have. And no matter who plays on each of the wings, who plays up front, it's going to change throughout the 90 minutes. It's very fluid, and they're all going to bring the intensity. Firmino's going to lead the charge for pressing, for counter press. As soon as we lose the ball, he's going to go up front and he's going to try and win the ball back. It's going to be a little bit of a gamble when it comes to midfield. I'm not going to lie. But it is going to be a cracking game. It is going to be a cracking game from both sides. I think Klopp, with this lineup, he's declared his intention. He's going to go for the kill. Pep Guardiola, usual system, usual lineup. He's going to go for the kill. Let's just see who comes out. Let the better team win. But that's been pre-game raw reactions from me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I will see you back again for halftime. It's 25 minutes to kick off at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City versus Liverpool, the biggest game in English football today. I'm hyped. I hope you are too. Let's get after it. Come on, the Reds. Right, boys, it is halftime at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City won, Liverpool won. What a half of football that was. Unbelievable attacking football from both sides, really. A lot of controversial moments as well. We're going to get into all of that in a little bit. But first of all, this game was just really good. Like, if you're a neutral watching this is why they're the two best teams in England. Like, there's just no way that these aren't the two best teams in England. Like, you can look at them and you can tell that they're a mile above any other team in this country. They're a mile above the Leicesters, the Chelseas, the Uniteds, the Arsenals. They're just a mile above. But let's get into the game itself. Liverpool started out really hot, fresh, just straight out of the blocks, all guns blazing. They looked the better side over the first few minutes, I would say. I think over the first 5 minutes, I remember thinking to myself, we're playing really well. Like, we're playing like this is a home game. And throughout the first half, I thought we did really well. We're going to get into how the goal was conceded and all of that. And, we'll get into all of that. But the thing is, first half, we played really well overall. Like, in terms of player performances, I don't really have any complaints. Our midfield did well. Frontline did well. Defense did well. They made a couple of mistakes, but I thought overall they were pretty good. Manchester City was slow to start a little bit. They grew into the game though, and I think their growth into the game is reflected in how Kevin De Bruyne grew into the game himself. Because I'd say about the first 10 minutes, he was kind of silent, and then he slowly started to build up influence. He slowly started to find where he could operate. He started to find spaces that he could operate in. And he started to get the ball more. And as he got the ball more, he was able to do more with it. And eventually, City sort of found their way into the game. Liverpool did take the lead, though. We did take the lead with a penalty. Pretty stone cold, in my opinion. And to be honest, even Kyle Walker didn't protest it that much. Mane gets the ball, dribbles past Walker, and then Walker just sticks a leg out. He tries to pull out at the last minute. He kind of realizes what's going on. He's going to try and pull out at the last minute, but by that point, it becomes too late. Mane feels the contact, goes down. It's a penalty. The only argument was whether there was a foul on the other end on Raheem Sterling. Personally, I think that was a foul. But the fact that Sterling kept going on his feet, I think that sort of played into City's advantage. And then he lost the ball, which eventually led to the counter-attack that eventually led to the penalty. So, for me personally, I think if Sterling goes down at first contact, he does win a free kick for Manchester City. But he didn't go down at first contact, and that kind of meant that Liverpool. I would say we got away with one there. Frankly speaking, I could be biased and say we didn't get anything, but to be fair, we did get away with one. Sterling goes down immediately. I think that's a free kick, but he didn't go down immediately. Whatever. And then, of course, comes City's equalizer. Very well taken goal by Gabriel Jesus. I think that's just down to the striker more than... look, I would say we had some issues in terms of defending in that sequence. We gave Kevin De Bruyne too much space, I felt. He played the ball really well into Jesus. Now, Jesus, he just had a great touch. There's just no two ways about it. There's nothing much else that Joe Gomez could have done there. And, to be quite honest, I just felt that was more the striker's quality showing through than any sort of defensive weakness, really. So for me personally, I am not going to blame Gomez on that. Like there's not much else he could have done. I mean, and it was just a good finish. It was just a good finish. Even as soon as he takes it, he's seeing an on-rushing Alisson. It's just a very good finish. Like, I thought we gave Kevin De Bruyne a little too much space to operate in that play, and to be quite honest, it's just a sublime finish from Gabriel Jesus. There's just no question there. I mean, the ball goes out wide to Walker, plays it in to De Bruyne to Gabriel Jesus. I mean, it's just a well-rounded, well-taken team goal and a well-taken finish from a good striker. It just shows you what City have been missing the last few weeks. They've played Ferran Torres and other players, up front, but it's just not the same as having a natural striker in that position. The other goal or the other controversial moment was the penalty that Manchester City got. VAR, once again, subject of discussion. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I mean, look, such a big game. I do think at some point it was going to come up. VAR was going to come up at some point. There's going to be mixed views on this. I can already see. I can already see a lot of Liverpool fans saying that that's really not a penalty. That how else are you supposed to run? Joe Gomez had his hand naturally sort of running. He tries to take his hand away. If you look at it, he tries to take his hand away. Like he realizes it's going to hit his hand and he tries to take it away. And the ball just comes and hits it anyway because of the velocity at which it's coming. I think there's a lot of factors that played into Paul Tierney's decision. I think it was Paul Tierney was the VAR referee. So there's a lot of factors that played into why it was a handball. And I'll let you know my opinion at the end of it. But I think what played into it was the fact that De Bruyne was crossing from... It wasn't a proximity issue with Joe Gomez. It was... Kevin De Bruyne was... He was a few yards away. Like, you could have taken your hand out of there. I think you could have taken your hand out of there. You could have changed your body position. Yes, it's not a great amount of time to react, but it's not a millisecond. It's not like Newcastle, when they got the penalty with Eric Dyer's handball. Of course, that's a different situation. But at the same time, if you do take into account just the reaction times for that thing, for that incident, it's not as quick as that. So I think Joe Gomez could have done something. Maybe change his body position to something, get a leg up. Maybe, he could have done something. Like it's a position that, even on an amateur level that I have been in, and you can do something. It may not be the best thing to do. It may not be the only thing you can do. But in that split second, you should be able to do something. I think it's because he's not very close. Kevin De Bruyne's cross doesn't come from very close. So proximity is not an issue. The hand position is clear for everyone to see. It is naturally away from the body. He's running, so you've always got one hand sort of away from the body, the other one's close to your body as you're running. It's just a natural way of running. Unfortunate that it hit Gomez. Personally, do I think it's a penalty? I think it is. By the rules, it is. But I can see why people would say it isn't. Let's put it that way. I can see because you are running. It is I think it's the proximity that decides this. In my opinion, I think that's what made Paul Tierney say this is a penalty because and we've seen penalties like this given before as well. So it's not like Joe Gomez is the first case, or it's not like Joe Gomez is an exception to what has happened so far. Like it has been given before in the Champions League, in other leagues across Europe, even in England. So personally, I think that is a penalty, but I can see why someone would say it isn't. That's just my view on it. But yeah, I mean, interesting half. Trent Alexander-Arnold had one shot towards the end, a free kick to try and put us up. Didn't quite work out the way he wanted it to. Went just above the bar. A couple of things that I do want to remark upon. Joel Matip coming back into the side after a very, very... I won't say a prolonged absence, but an absence of a certain duration. A substantial duration. He's looked good. He's looked solid. Had a few nervy moments, or at least they made me nervous. I don't know if he was nervous on the pitch, but they made me a little nervous, but settled into the game, I felt. Settled well into the rhythm of the game. And then, of course, you have, the midfield did really well. Jordan Henderson you could hear the man. Like, he was just loud. You could just hear you could just hear whatever he was saying on the pitch whenever there was silence in the commentary. Um, so Hendo's been doing really well. Genie's done well as well. Um, like they've all done well. Like there's really nothing much in terms of performance to complain about. The only thing I will say is I think one positive thing that I do have to say is the way Trent has defended Sterling. I thought Trent did. Before when Trent used to go up against fast wingers, you're talking your Sterlings, your Marcus Rashfords, Wilfried Zaha's, those sort of players. Trent would sort of stick to the guy, commit to challenges early, and then get turned, and then it would just be a whole mess, and the winger would just be past him. He's had troubles with Leroy Sané like that before. Marcus Rashford's done him a few times like that, but this game he's actually defended Sterling really well. I felt the idea of denying Sterling space rather than actually sticking to him or denying him the ball is working really well, because it's forcing Sterling to sort of turn back and look at options, turn back and look for a pass. He's looked okay. Like, Sterling's not been bad, but he's not been his best. Like, Sterling has had better games. Raheem Sterling has had better games. There's just no question about that. I think that's just my assessment. Good performance. We need to build on it in the second half. Etihad, obviously, a very difficult place to go to. We haven't beaten them at the Etihad since we won in the Champions League. So, yeah, we do need some motivation. Even a draw out of this game would be good. Kevin De Bruyne's missed penalty is a gift, and we must not waste it, because Kevin De Bruyne does not miss too many penalties. Another thing that I will say, and this is something we need to take care of. Kevin De Bruyne is starting to find spaces between our defense and midfield, and he is dangerous when he does that. He can take a shot. He had one fizz right past Alisson in the first half. He takes a shot, find the pass. He's just really good at what he does, and we need to deny him space, whether that's going to be by Wijnaldum falling back, by Henderson falling back. Someone's got to do something. Whether that's Diogo Jota coming back, Mo Salah, whoever's on the left wing, really, it's kind of interchangeable at this point. Although Mane's played there for most of the game. So, Mane falling back, like, he's got to have someone close by at all times. Like, you can't give him too much space, because even that split second of space that you gave him for the goal, and it led to a goal. So, yeah, so I just think, Kevin, that's the one thing that I would address in the second half. Otherwise, I just think we're playing really well. It's a good game between two evenly matched teams. City will feel a little hard done that they're not 2-1 up, especially considering they also had a penalty. But I think it's a fair outcome so far, given the two sides and how they've played. And yeah, I think I'm just really excited for the second half. I think it's going to be a great second half, and I honestly think it's going to be really good, and it's going to be really entertaining to watch. It's going to be really interesting to watch. And the key battles, especially in midfield, like I said, I said a lot of this is going to depend on how we control De Bruyne. I said this before the game. I said this yesterday, and it is true. It is true. But we'll see how that goes. The two sides are in the tunnel. Liverpool are emerging out first. It is the end of halftime. Raw reactions from me, and I will see you back again at full time. Right, we're here at full time from the Etihad Stadium. 1-1 is the final score. Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. Both sides take a share of the points. Neither actually goes to the top of the table. That honour belongs to Leicester City. Liverpool currently third at the end of this game, behind Leicester and Tottenham. And for a few places further down is Manchester City, of course. But of course, they do have a game in hand. Very tepid second half. The biggest chance, I would say, fell to Man City when Gabriel Jesus headed wide. It was an open header, should have been on target at least, if not a goal. I felt like our defense slept for that one. I think it was De Bruyne who played the cross through. Was it Cancelo? I think it was it was Joao Cancelo. It wasn't De Bruyne. It was Cancelo. So Cancelo plays that ball through, and there's a lot of mistakes in that play itself. Cancelo's a right-footed left back, so which means he's always going to try and cut in whenever he can. And the moment he cut in, we should have forced him to go onto his left. which we didn't, and he almost made us pay with that lovely cross. But aside from that, really, there's not. And there was a little bit of a late spurt from Manchester City with about 10 minutes to go in the game, and towards the end of the game, there was a little bit of a late spurt from Liverpool. Nothing Nothing really strikes. I think there's just a lot of factors that played into why the second half was kind of dull. Not kind of, it was very dull actually. I would say fatigue. Both sides, remember, have been involved in the Champions League and they've been playing games pretty much every 3 days for the last month, 2 months. And most of these players in the Manchester City lineup, in the Liverpool lineup, are internationals, which means they've been playing through the international break as well. So it's not been ideal. It's definitely not been ideal. That didn't help. And then, of course, you have the conditions in Manchester, which it was pouring rain. Really, there's not much else I can say. It was pouring rain. That's bound to take an effect over the course of 45, 50, 60 minutes. And generally, I just felt like the game became very static. I think both sides realized that if they went for it, which they could, both sides could go for it. I mean, they have the attacking talent enough to go for it. I think they realized that if they tried to go for it, there was equally a chance that they would be left exposed. And I think that played into sort of the cagey nature of the second half, where neither side was really willing to sort of throw the kitchen sink at it. It's early on in the season as well. You'd rather have 1 point than come away with zero. So especially for Liverpool, really, because a point away to Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium, if you'd given me that at the start of the game, I would have taken it. I think the Etihad is a difficult place to go to. We've not had a great record there in recent years, and I would have definitely taken a point. So I would have definitely taken a point at the start of the game if you'd offered me that. So I can't say I'm too disappointed by it, but and to be fair, like the two best chances to win the game both fell to City. One was the penalty, the other one was of course the Gabriel Jesus header. So for me personally, I think I wouldn't call this game a success because I really felt like second half we could have done a whole lot better. I felt we were too static. There was not much movement going on, and Firmino wasn't helping. It's just Firmino in the first half he looked okay, he looked all right. I said, he did well. He could build upon that in the second half. But the second half, the way he started, it was so abject. And that's not just him. I think it's just the entire team. And even Man City, for that matter, they weren't great either. I think they just started very abject. And it was the conditions, the nature of the game, what was at stake. There's just so many factors that played into why the second half was what it was, really, in the end. So for me, it is what it is. And I just really feel like, it is a point gained, but at the same time, it doesn't give you a sense of satisfaction, if I can call it that. We played well, but there were stuff that there was stuff that we could iron out. I think some of our play in the second half, some of our passing was just very sloppy. I felt like I said, the movement in the final third was very static. Trent's injury didn't help either. I'm hoping it's not a serious thing. I think it's just another muscular injury. I think it's just fatigue. So I'm hoping it's not a serious injury, but Trent had to go off. He's not a guy who wants to go off, especially from a big game like this. The upside to that is obviously if it's going to keep him out for a couple of weeks, it's fine because it's the international break next. The downside to that is if it's going to keep him out for more than that, then our injury troubles are just mounting more and more and more. It looked like a muscular injury. It looked like a calf muscle injury. So I don't want to comment too much on it before the club comments. But I generally, I can't. I think this is a point gained. Definitely. I think, like I said, if you'd offered this to me at the start, I would have taken it. But there were some things that need to be worked on, and they both sides. And I'm not too concerned about Man City because I'm not a City fan, but Liverpool did leave a little bit more to be desired in the second half. Tactically speaking, I was quite impressed with the way we set up. I felt like defensively we did a good job on Manchester City. I mentioned in the first half the way Trent defended Sterling. He defended the spaces rather than defend the man, which is kind of the right way to defend against pacey and skilled wingers. And he did that well today till he was on the pitch. And Milner did that well as well. I thought we dropped off really well. I thought we didn't play an unnecessarily high line. I felt like Man City at times played an unnecessarily high line, but they would have seen what happened to Atalanta, so even they were willing to drop off quite a bit. Alisson had a really good game for us in goal. Even came out and did his best Manuel Neuer impression, coming out of the box and heading the ball. I think that's, yeah, for me. I think those are some of the positives to look at. Tactically, we were good. Front three kind of dropped off in the second half, but that the same can be said of the midfield. Henderson, Wijnaldum, they both kind of dropped off as well. Defensively, we looked okay. Offensively, they were, like I said, fair few sloppy passes, especially Joel Matip. I know we were attempting long range passes, which generally tend to have a low success rate. But Matip, man, come on. It was embarrassing. I think he literally got like one pass on target out of how many, like 5 or 6 that he attempted, which I felt is quite a bad number. If you're looking at it objectively, it's quite a bad ratio. But I thought Shaqiri did well. The only thing I would say is Shaqiri on the right wing, not as effective. I would have played him at the number 10 role. I think Shaqiri at number 10, Jota on the wing, Salah, Mane, as the front three. I think that would have worked better. I felt like last week when Shaqiri came on and played in that number 10 role, I thought he did really well. I think that's more what he plays for Switzerland as well, so he's kind of more used to that. And he is a creative player, so he can make good use of the half spaces, the lines between the defense and midfield. And I really felt like we didn't use Shaqiri as well as we possibly could have. I felt like he could have had a bigger impact had he been playing in the middle. Instead, he found himself out on the right wing. Diogo Jota as well, same thing in a different context, in the sense that he found himself in the middle quite a lot, which I didn't think was his best place. I felt his best place was on the wings when he had space to run at his man. So I'm not sure Diogo Jota was used best either. Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, good games overall. Nothing spectacular, but definitely nothing bad to comment about. I thought we played really well with those two. Joe Gomez, he got done a couple of times in the first half. I can't lie. He got done a couple of times by Gabriel Jesus, especially in the first half. One was obviously for the goal, but there was another time where Jesus had him sort of breaking ankles. Really, honestly, like, I think he kind of went for a tackle, didn't work out, tried to overcompensate and go lunge in for another one. That didn't work out either. And then by the time Gomez recovered, Jesus had got rid of the ball. So, he got done a couple of times. I can't lie. But, it's a learning experience for him. He's not been on form. I think, the goal's not going to do wonders for his confidence because he was the defender that, Jesus got the better of. And there will always be a part of him that feels like he could have done something a little differently. When he looks back at the film, he's probably going to find out something that he could have done a little bit differently. But you never know. You never know with these things. And Gomez overall, I thought he was okay. Wasn't particularly good, but wasn't particularly bad either. I think it was all right as a game overall. Manchester City versus Liverpool. I think it was a very Jekyll and Hyde game in terms of, first half was, all guns blazing, and the second half was you'd run out of ammunition. So, yeah, I think it's just some of these big games, they do tend to go like this, but it is what it is, and we just can't help it. So, yeah, but that's just not much really to say. Performance wise, I thought everyone did okay. Wasn't great, but weren't bad either. And some of them did have a few impressive performances. Look, at the end of the day, it was a point taken away from the Etihad. I will take that given our poor record there in recent years. I will take this. But we do need to build on it. We can't go to every away game. Well, not every away game, but every big away game and say that, coming out of the point is good enough, because we do still have away games to other teams left. We do still have away games to Arsenal, for example. We played them obviously at home, but we do have an away game there at the Emirates. We have an away game to Manchester United. These are teams that we should be beating, and home or away, we should be beating them. If there's anything that we can take out of this game, it's that Liverpool and Man City are a class above the rest. And I know we've said this before, and it's kind of generally accepted that Liverpool and Man City are the best two teams in whatever order you want. You put Liverpool first or Man City first, whatever order you want. But it's generally accepted that these are the two best teams in the country. It's just this game kind of proved that the way the game management, like you can say the second half was tepid because of a lot of reasons, but part of it, like I said, is the fact that neither side wanted to concede either. And that's just good game management. Because losing 3 points to your biggest title rival is much worse than losing just 2 and making sure that they've also just lost 2. So it's just a better look, I think. I think the way the game was managed, I thought it's pretty spot on. The refereeing was pretty good today. I thought a couple of challenges he did let it go, but it's a big game. You're bound to expect a couple of you're bound to get a couple of crunching tackles. Craig Pawson let those go for a little bit. The penalty incident, I discussed it at halftime. I honestly don't have a problem with it. I thought it was a penalty, the one that hit Joe Gomez in the arm. So yeah, I like, and honestly, like I said, with the whole Raheem Sterling falling down thing, like I said, if he goes down immediately, that's a free kick to Man City. He didn't go down immediately, tried to stay on his feet. Liverpool got the ball and, went and scored. So yeah, I think overall it was a decent game. But like I said, we can't go into every away game thinking, every big away game thinking a point is going to be enough. We do need to win because, Man City is going to go in with the mentality that they're going to win. They're going to go into Old Trafford trying to win. They're going to go into Emirates trying to win. And we have to do that as well if we want to compete with them for the title this year. But yeah, that's been my raw reactions from Manchester City versus Liverpool. 1-1 the full-time score. Gabriel Jesus equalizing after Mo Salah had put us through with a penalty. Kevin De Bruyne missed a penalty as well. Gabriel Jesus missed a chance early on in the second half to put Man City ahead. But unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, we do come away with a point. We'll have to see how this pans out in the long run. Obviously, this is just game number 7. I want to say 7 or 8 in the Premier League matchday schedule. So, there's still a long way to go this season, and a lot can happen between now and next May. But that has been it. It's been a pleasure bringing you this episode. My name is Seshadri. Hope you have a good day. Goodbye.